Another day, another dollar. You might not think money is something to sing and dance about, but don't worry, that's why I'm here. I'm Julie Beckham, the financial educator at Rockland Trust, and this is Behind the Curtain, Money Made Simple, the podcast that takes the mystery out of money and puts the spotlight on your financial life. If you've ever felt behind, confused, or just totally overwhelmed when it comes to your finances, you are not alone. In fact, you're part of a cast of thousands. So take your seat and silence your phones as we pull back the curtain on personal finance. Welcome, everyone, to Behind the Curtain, Money Made Simple. I've been so looking forward to this conversation with Noah Kagan because I feel like it was a fortuitous meeting, and probably I'm about to tell you the most inflated story of like a perspective of my life that really doesn't exist. And you're going to think I'm somebody else when I tell this story. So Noah, are you ready? And then I want your telling of the story.
100%.
Okay, 100%. So I'm walking down the street in Barcelona. That's how I get to start this story. Is this amazing? I'm walking down the street in Barcelona with my daughter, and we had been backpacking for 2 weeks, and it's our last day, and we see a bookstore that says Barcelona Bookstore, English books. I have nothing to read on my flight home, so we wander into this bookstore, and we're looking at everything, and in walks this man and a woman and a cutest little baby, and the man goes up to the desk and said, I heard that you have my book here, and I just thought I'd come by because I'm in town and I can sign some of these books because, you know, that might be kind of cool. So I go over to this man and I say, I'll buy your book. And he says, you're going to just buy my book? I'm like, well, you're an author. You're here. I'm in Barcelona. You're in Barcelona. Sure, I'll buy your book. So I pick up this book and then I look at the title, and it's called $1 Million Weekend, the surprisingly simple way to launch a 7-figure business in 48 hours. And I think, what is going on? Like, I teach financial literacy. I'm launching this podcast. This guy's in Barcelona. So am I. He wrote a book. His baby's so cute. His wife's so nice. We get into a conversation. And after reading this book, I do something that the book tells you to do, which is ask. And I write Noah Kagan, the author of this book, who I would never just run into at any sort of social setting in my life, except a bookstore in Barcelona. And I ask him to be on the podcast, and he gets back to me within 24 hours and says yes. So not only is this guy writing this book to say, ask the question, make yourself uncomfortable, start it, do it, don't think, but he's actually responding in that same manner. So welcome, Noah. That is the longest introduction to a guest I've had, but that story has been swimming in my head, and I just can't get over that you're here.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just at breakfast with my wife. We're back in the States. I was like, oh, I'm meeting that lady that we met at the bookstore. She's like, the nice lady. I'm like, yes. And so you just ask, like, I actually crazy, like, what my dream in life, not my only dream, one of my dreams was to meet John Paul DeJoria. He created Paul Mitchell hair care. You know Paul Mitchell?
Oh, yeah.
Hair care?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, you have nice hair. I'm sure you use it.
Thank you.
And so I thought about it. You know, it was like 2 years. I wrote it down. I wanted to meet him. And I was biking one day in Austin, Texas, and I saw this guy had great hair too. And I was like, I don't have hair for the people listening. I thought it was him. And so I was like, nah, it couldn't be him. But I've always dreamed of meeting him and interviewing him. And so I was like, well, I got to take a chance. So I biked back like a mile to see if it was him. And it turned out it was him.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was just like, one of my dreams in life is to be able to interview you. Do you think we can make that happen? He's like, yeah, send an email to my secretary. And then a year later, I followed up with the secretary every week for a year. And then eventually she was like, you can come tomorrow morning. One night, it was Sunday night. She's like, you can come tomorrow morning, 8 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
To your point, and a lot of what my book teaches, $1 Million Weekend, and I think where I've had a lot of success is just the power of asking.
Yes, that's what your book said. I mean, I dog tagged, I underlined, I read the entire book on the flight home, and I immediately was like, at my son, who's just graduated from college, I'm like, I'm giving you this book after I interview this guy because I need it. Because it's so full of great advice. And you say follow up. I mean, you say it 3 times in a row in the book, follow up, follow up, follow up. Like, it literally is key to getting what you want. And, you know, the first thing is the ask, but then the follow up is so key. Before I get into some questions, I also want to say that it's kind of strange. You put things into the universe, like you want to talk to the founder of Paul Mitchell, and suddenly you're biking and you see him. The name of the bookstore where we were at is called Backstory, and the they put a bookmark in here. And then the back of it, it says, backstory, the series of swerving paths, bold decisions, and happy accidents that landed the character in this very moment. And I just thought that was also so significant to the meeting of the two of us in this bookstore. So I just think it's just the coolest thing. But speaking of cool things, please, tell our listeners who you are. And specifically, when you walked out of that bookstore and sitting on the plane reading this book, I'm like, oh my God, he was one of Mark Zuckerberg's first 30 employees. Tell us about that.
I've had a pretty good run.
Yeah,
I've had a pretty good...
Say.
My life has been pretty good to me. It's also been pretty tough, but who's Noah Kagan? I was always excited about the computer stuff, and now it's ubiquitous. Professionally, I graduated college, had zero idea of what to do or where you even go. I was like, how does this work? And so I ended up at Intel. I was trying to quit. I was going to be my own boss, and I was starting all these side hustles. And I just sent in a resume to Facebook. This is in 2004. So it's 20 years ago now. Ended up just getting a job there without connections or anything. And I was number 30. And I was only there for 9 months till I got fired. We can get into that story if that's interesting. But I think what was special about my career was just being in the Bay Area and kind of really just always doing things. Mm-hmm. I think what the book says with $1 Million Weekend is just do stuff.
Yep.
And then just ask people for things. And I know it's really simple. And I got an email from someone today. They're like, hey, I started my first business. I've tried 2 ideas. It's not working. What do you think I should do? I was like, well, you need to do the third one.
Yeah.
And then a fourth, and then a fifth, and then a sixth. And so, I was number 30 at Facebook, and then I was number 4 at mint.com, which got sold for 300 million. And then I started all these different businesses over the next 10 years until finally I was able to get AppSumo launched in 2010. That was kind of the business that I've been running now for the past 15 years. It was a culmination of all my learnings and a lot of what I teach others, which is it's a software deal site. So for people that are making software, we promote it, and people that want good deals on software, we have them.
That's incredible. In your book, the first chapter is about excuses. And I thought that was so relevant because the first thing that we do when we have an idea is make a million excuses about why what doesn't work. I don't know what it is about our minds that do that. What prompted you to start off your book with excuses?
I didn't see another book that ever had excuses to start.
Right?
Normally, if you see books, no one reads books, really. I mean, people read fiction books. The romance books are very popular. And I love reading. Now that I have a daughter and I have another one on the way, I'm not reading as much. I get a little bit of time at night. But in terms of books, I wanted, if you're trying to win in business or win in being an author, it's also well, what isn't there? And I was like, well, people don't have excuses. And I noticed I sold a course years ago about how to start businesses, and I've talked to tens of thousands of people and millions via my YouTube channel. And I've run a lot of $1 million companies, and you just hear all the excuses. So I thought it'd be helpful for people to also know that what they're going through is very normal. And I think when you know that the problem that you're going through is solved, then that helps you understand that you can get past it. And I think some people just feel like starting businesses or success is not for them. Mm-hmm. And the reality is it's for anyone who wants to do the work.
Right.
It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter your gender. That's one of the best things in business is that you don't have to be tall.
Right. Yeah.
You could be ugly and have success in business. You don't have to be a model, and a lot of other areas you do. And as long as you get going. And I thought the excuses just help people understand hey, I don't know how to code. That's okay. Hey, I don't have a lot of money. That's okay. I don't know any marketing. That's okay. And then the specific sections and answers that'll help them overcome that specific stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's what I liked about the book too, is that it was structured in a way that was really easy to read and get through the process of your thoughts as you have an idea and starting it. Something that I really related to is talking about just doing it, stop overthinking it and just do it. So many of us just overthink ideas to death before they even get out the door. And not only does it take the spark and maybe the uniqueness out of the idea, but it actually stops you from even starting.
Momentum is a really powerful drug and a powerful success tool, but it's also it could be avoidant, right? If you're not getting momentum or you're not getting it, I try to do it with really stupid things. And really, if you think about business, it's really a sport, right? It's a sport that everyone can play But in sports, what people don't realize is you have to practice.
Right.
So you have to practice asking. You have to practice starting. You have to practice these things. And so in terms of avoiding things, I try to do the things around my house that I'm avoiding. Like, you ever done that thing where you're like, I just don't want to brush my teeth tonight. I'm already tired. Or I don't want to fix my daughter's stroller. I'm like, that's the moment that I can practice. Just do it. Just do it right now.
Right.
And, I think in the book we call it now, not how. And I think when you practice it kind of on small things, like, I didn't really feel like biking today. I'm a cyclist. Okay, let's go do it. And I think the more you practice it and you start giving yourself that confidence and that ability, you start using that skill in your business.
Yeah, I talk to kids about that when it comes to financial literacy, when I talk to teenagers, because they don't have a lot of practice using money, but they do have practice, like all the things that they do well, right? And they get their schoolwork in on time, they get good grades, they show up when they're supposed to, and all those things are good habits. Those are, them practicing how eventually they're going to pay their bills on time, how eventually they'll be a responsible borrower, all those kind of things. But it's like these transferable habits that you have to get used to doing in a new space, whether it's using money or in what you're talking about, starting a business.
I'm so glad that you do this for children. Financial literacy is probably one of the most important things that everyone can get, especially if you're starting a business. Mm-hmm. It blows my mind. I probably spend way more of my time doing P&L statements, budgeting, and modeling than people would expect.
It's the bread and butter of your business. But if you don't know how to do that, it's a lot of work to kind of catch up on.
Yeah. I think all these skills they're all developable. You can actually just keep getting better and better. Like at AppSumo, I work with our finance person and our revenue person. I even went to, pretty well regarded business school for undergraduate called at Haas in Berkeley, but none of that I really learned there. I learned it by like practicing. And then doing my own monthly personal finances, which I love. If we want to talk personal finance, we can do that too. But really, it is available to everyone worldwide to have the success. And I think what I've appreciated is because I'm an entrepreneur and creating my own business, like it did give me the ability where I just spent the past year with my daughter and my wife, and I was able to, see you in a bookstore and then be like, okay, cool, let's do a talk. And like that was only available because I created a business that gave me the flexibility where I can now truly have freedom and spend my life till the day I die, and maybe I won't die, doing whatever I want.
Mm-hmm. That's the goal. That's the freedom of personal finance. Well, let's talk about personal finance. This is the topic. So if you're interested in that, and you were number 4 creating Mint, which is a budgeting system that doesn't exist anymore, got sold. But I have to say, it was the most beloved budgeting system that people still grieve. They're like, nothing's like Mint, and it has different iterations and all that kind of stuff. But what's your personal finance, the thing that you love about balancing your budget or doing, or what gets you excited? Because your eyes kind of lit up when you were talking about personal finance. I love
personal finance. Okay. My stepfather is an expert, I would say, in finance and stock markets. Even though he had a more traditional job, he was an engineer in semiconductors. And it's the foundation. If you understand how you want to live your life, like then you look at your finances to see how you can live the life you want to live. And then if you could set that up. And so I was at Mint, which is one of the most popular products ever for personal finance. And I do a monthly spreadsheet still. You can find it on my website, Noah Kagan. I give out my template. But basically every month I look at my assets, my liabilities, and my net worth. I look at my allocation, my asset allocation, and then any action items that I want to do for the next month. And so I enjoy it. I don't know. I think it's one of these things. It's kind of, when I was at Mint, it blew my mind how much people have zero idea about their finances whatsoever. And what I encourage people, this is probably extreme. I don't even think it's extreme. Get so rich you don't even need a budget. I think that's like the best way to live. I know that's probably, if you're like, well, I'm not, that's not me. It's like, well, it's not you today.
Right.
But I think one of the things that's like my wife, I love my wife because she works so hard and she values money, very similar to me. And she is like, hey, could we afford 2 Halloween costumes for our daughter? And I'm like, baby, go for it. She wants to make her a pumpkin and a toad. And I was like, get 2. And it's just, it's really, it's luxurious. It's super luxurious to not have to stress that kind of stuff.
When I'm thinking of budgeting, which sometimes feels like a constrictive word, it can be freedom to know that you can pick your financial priorities and allocate funds towards those over things that are meaningless to you. And I think that's where, even if you are under the constraints of having to create a budget, that can still be empowering to know that you can put money aside for things that are important to you, which for me is Halloween as well.
Oh, I love Halloween.
I could talk to your wife about the ridiculous amount of resources and money and things that I have spent over the years on trying to acquire the best Halloween costume for my kids, the homemade R2-D2, the Tooth Fairy creation.
I love
it.
Now I'm an adult. I didn't realize Halloween candy's so expensive. It's like $200. It's like only a few bags.
Yep.
I don't know how people do it.
You'll have to go out the day after.
I know. In terms of personal finance, I guess zooming back there is, when I graduated college, I had a $55,000 a year job.
Yep.
So I think that's pretty common. I think that's the norm. I've done my monthly finance sheet 20 years since then.
Yeah.
And, if you have a goal about like, hey, if I wanted to have this much a month, or I wanted to have a net worth of whatever that number is, it's really helpful to understand how you can get there.
Yep.
And if you don't do that, like, how are you ever going to get there? One thing for me recently that helped is my company has been having some struggles, like, numerous problems internally. And so I was like, man, if my company goes out as a business, do I have enough money to live? So I went to ChatGPT, and there's a lot of these tools where you can do kind of like cash flow modeling for the rest of your life. There's a name for it. I forget.
Cash flow analysis?
Yeah, it's cash flow analysis, but it's like if you're spend down. So anyways, I said, here's my money and here's how many years I'm going to live. And here's my asset allocation between stocks, equities, real estate, and crypto, or risky. I was like, could I live until I'm 80? And it's like, well, how much are you spending a month? And I was like, I'm spending $20,000 a month. It's like, yeah, you're fine. I was like, okay, good. And so I think my point there is that when you have anxiety, or if you're not at the levels of finance you want to be at, it's not that I didn't magically get rich. It took me at least 10 years to start making even some money. But the point of, if you can understand it and you could start looking at it, I think you can start making it better. And I think most people tend to ignore it.
Speaking of, so you didn't start making money, like you didn't come out of the womb making money. You didn't just graduate from college making money. Because, for people listening, they might be like, $20,000 a month. Let's talk about excuses. People set up all these things in their minds. Like, as soon as, you say something that somebody might not relate to, they'll be like, okay, I can't, I'm not going to take advice because I can't relate to this guy. Or even me. Oh my gosh, I've never been out of the country. Never mind walking down the street in Barcelona. Who is this lady talking about? So we make excuses right away. But you're saying, like, it's taken you almost 2 decades to get to where you are financially, with this financial freedom, owning several companies, all these things. But when you started, and in the book, you talk about how you have an idea. And again, this is like a weekend, $1 million weekend. So you're constructing this whole thing over a 48-hour period. And you have an idea and you need to monetize it. So talk to us about that idea of monetizing an idea.
There's unlimited problems in our lives, and those are all business opportunities. And there's just so many of it out there. I didn't start getting rich. Like, I tried so many businesses. I actually counted it. I think I started 24 different businesses and jobs until finally AppSumo, which is where I became a millionaire. I did do not well, but I did save a lot with my other stuff. So that was helpful. But man, it was a lot of ideas, and you keep building up. It's just like, think of it as a step function or a ladder. And every step you're moving up the step, every business idea. And so let me take a recent one. My wife is Latina, and she went to a Spanish children's music class. And she was like, this is awesome. My wife's Venezuelan. So shout out to the Venezuelans out there. My wife's like, hey, there's none close to our house. Can you open another one? Or is there another way we can? She's like, no, sorry, I'm just having it up here. I was like, the class is sold out every day. And then you're like, okay, I have an idea. So what do you do there? Could my wife open a music thing just in our house and experiment? This is what I teach. It's like,
yeah.
Well, let's say that's your idea. Like, okay, I saw something working, someone else did it. Maybe I could also create something similar in a different location. Instead of getting a permit, getting insurance, getting a license, can I invite 5 of my friends over, find a music teacher or find a Spanish guitarist, and get my friends to pay a few bucks and host it at my house? And if you can't do that, then maybe it tells you it's not going to get easier. If you can do it and the people are super excited, that's when you can then say, all right, let me just see if I can do this again and again and again. And then you can move it out to getting a location. It's just like in restaurants, it's like doing a food truck,
right,
or renting a food truck, or going to a farmer's market. And if that works, then you open the restaurant. And I think what people do too many times is they spend all day looking for ideas, even though they're everywhere. They spend all day thinking about why it's not going to work or how they can't afford a location. And then they finally do something like that. And they're like, oh shoot, man, that people liked it. How great was this?
Right.
That was just one example. Another one is like baby clothes that grow with your baby.
Yeah, because you always have to get new ones.
You always, every month, it's like a 3-month-old, a 4-month-old, a 6-month-old. My daughter is this age, but They're like, no, she's actually this month old. And I'm like, so anyways, can someone just create clothes where it grows with the baby better? My point there is that every problem you have in your day or everything that you see that you like or you think there should be more of, like, that's all business. And I think what's so special and so cool about business, you can literally spend your entire workday doing something you like.
Yeah.
And that's just magical.
It is magical. And it's magical to be able to solve a problem. And that's a lot of what's in your book is like figuring out what that problem is and creating that. And you talk about, like putting the customer experience first. And that's something that we often don't think about too. You get stuck in your own idea and you forget that like you're trying to solve a problem. I love the way you break it down that it's a simple process. Like this is more simple than we are making it. What is it about us humans that we make everything so complicated?
There's no book for them, right? With AI that nowadays, it does make it a lot easier to get information about approaches to these types of problems. A lot of where I've had success is because I'm a doer.
Yeah.
And I take action. And then through that, I'm able to understand things. And I think most people, they're either afraid or a lot of people, frankly, they're busy. They have a kid, they have a day job. It's like, when are you going to even make time for that? So I think it just gets harder and harder the older you get. To me, it seems riskier to have a day job and regret not giving it a shot.
Right.
I was always scared of having a job. And that motivated me to keep trying and going to eventually find something where I'm not anyone's boss at AppSumo and no one's my boss. And I guess the customers sometimes boss me around.
Yeah.
Besides that, generally not.
Yeah. Well, you just keep creating. And, again, you just said 24 businesses. It's not like one or two tries. That's a lot. And if you're 24 businesses, how many tries is that? Another thing people are afraid of is just failure. And that's part of the game, right?
I think we think of failure as negative. I guess I thought of failure as positive, and it's still scary. I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah.
And in my book, I talk about the coffee challenge, which people can read about to practice failure.
I love that.
That one's a fun one.
Yeah.
But, I think it's more, how do you have fun with this idea? I don't know if I include in the book, but I tried making caffeinated gum. I tried doing a business where we did home ergonomic optimizations. When I was at Intel, they hired people to come optimize how your desk fit.
Yeah.
As an example, I tried to start that business. No one wanted it. I created a site before YouTube. YouTube, yes, literally YouTube. I created a site called Fatcast, Phatcast, and that totally flopped. And so just, I kept swinging and eventually got there.
It's great persistence. We interviewed a professor of entrepreneurship and someone who locally opened this social impact ice cream store and cafe in the middle of the city, almost like a Swiss oasis on the middle of a city street, and with financial empowerment books and ice cream and coffee. And it's just a dreamy little place. And she was saying how generosity and being generous yields, high returns in starting a business. You also touch on that in your book, like, being generous and giving your thoughts and ideas. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think with generosity, there's the two parts. One, I think I've just always liked being around generous people.
Yeah.
It inspires me to be more generous. I think the other thing in business that we miss out on is that people are like, oh, I'm selling someone else, I'm taking. And I guess I've historically done pretty well when I'm like, here's why I think it's good for you, and here's why it also benefits me. And that's also with negotiation. And so, with AppSumo, we've gone back and forth. But historically, if we've really helped the company get promoted, make their software, if the customers get a good deal and we make a little money, it's a pretty awesome experience for everyone out there. And so, and if it's not actually beneficial to someone else, maybe you're not making a good business.
You've been just so generous with me. I so appreciate this talk, Noah. Rapid fire questions after. Please tell us how to find you.
Don't find me these days. Lately, I'm more hiding. I'm just working and a dad. If you want to find me, I do have Noah Kagan podcast. You can look that up. And then Twitter at Noah Kagan.
Okay. I promise I won't tell anyone to email you and ask you to be on their podcast like I did and take up all your time.
No. I really appreciate it. Just a shout out to you, Julie, to taking a chance on my book. And like, I did make an ask. I asked you. I was like, if you buy it, you don't like it, I'll pay you the money.
I loved it.
I like that that you were willing to give that a shot. And then here we are today.
It's really cool. It's really awesome. Okay, if we can have 2 minutes for rapid fire.
Yes, hit it.
Okay, what is your favorite word?
It changes year by year. The current favorite word now is leadership. And how are you being a leader in your family, in your friends, in your company, in your life? And it doesn't mean being like taking over the loudest, but how are you moving things forward or a positive direction?
Awesome. What's your least favorite word?
What does my wife say to me? I'm trying to think of what she said.
All right, we'll end it right there. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No. I think my word is like excuses or like maybe but. don't know.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we can't. I want to do it,
Right.
but.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. What is your theme song? Like if your walk-up song, if you're a baseball?
The first song is J-Rock Win. It's like a rapper. He's part of Kendrick Lamar's album, TDE. It's just look up J-Rock Win. It's either that or like something from Fall Out Boy.
Oh, yeah, good ones. Yeah. All right, what's your most used emoji?
The Shaka. I love the Shaka, the call me hand sign. I
Oh,
use this all the
really?
time.
Okay, good one.
That's definitely a fave.
Lastly, I would love you to give our listeners a challenge, something that they could do today that could change their financial lives.
Text some person right now for $1. That is, we talk about in the book. You can go to the book if you're curious, but just text someone for $1 and see what happens. I think people are always shocked when that goes down. The other thing I would challenge people, one of my regrets is not having a higher allocation towards the stock market from an earlier age. I was very scared of losing my money. Take your whatever monthly allocation to the S&P 500. I do direct indexing, which is separate, but increase your thing by 1%.
Okay.
Just go to your monthly investment that you guys are doing. I think most of your listeners are probably doing that because they're listening to you and they're smart. Go up and increase it 1% and just see what happens.
Okay. I love it. Thank you so much, Noah.
Julie, you're the best.
All
yes.
right.
Awesome. Thanks for having
Congratulations on
me.
the new baby.
Thank you. We'll stay in touch.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Curtain, Money Made Simple. If you liked what you heard, if you learned something, subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend, because good financial education deserves a standing ovation. And remember, you don't have to know all the steps before you take the stage. You just need the courage to show up, ask questions, and maybe, just maybe, sing a little bit along the way. I'm Julie Beckham, and Behind the Curtain, Money Made Simple is brought to you by Rockland Trust, member FDIC, the bank where each relationship matters, because we want you to have a healthy relationship with money at any age.